And thank you for joining us back here on Flashpoint with our special guest, State Representative Emily Virgin, sitting in for Mike today. And let's talk about this sexual harassment, the hashtag #MeToo movement.
Yeah.
In fact, those people were just named Times People of the Year.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But it is also claimed not only the victims of sexual misconduct, but a political career, one that's very high profile, that happened on Thursday. NBC's Blaine Alexander will give you a look.
Embattled Senator Al Franken bowing to demands that he step down.
Today I am announcing that in the coming weeks I will be resigning as a member of the United States Senate.
The pressure started mounting after a former congressional aide told Politico Franken tried to forcibly kiss her in 2006, 3 years before he became senator. She was the 7th woman to publicly allege sexually inappropriate behavior, including groping and forcibly kissing.
Some of the allegations against me are simply not true. Others I remember very differently.
Franken, the former SNL comedian turned Minnesota senator, publicly apologized after the first misconduct claim, but has denied this latest allegation.
I, of all people, am aware that there is some irony in the fact that I am leaving while a man who has bragged on tape about his history of sexual assault sits in the Oval Office, and a man who has repeatedly preyed on young girls campaigns for the Senate with the full support of his party.
Senator Franken stepping down, but vowing he will not step away from public service. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
All right, thank you, Blaine. By the way, just a little postscript on that. Blaine Alexander is from Oklahoma City, a reporter on NBC. She went to school in Oklahoma City, then she went to school in Edmond, so it's good to have her at NBC. Yeah. Okay, that was kind of a backhanded resignation because Franken also mentioned the president.
I don't think Mr. Senator Franken has the moral ground to attack anybody.
Well, I know that, here's the thing. I know that a lot of his supporters, and I got to tell you, we did a rant on this last night, whether or not he should resign.
Some people think both ways.
Well, they do, and a lot of people did mention what Mr. Franken just mentioned. So maybe he's talking to his supporters that don't want him to resign. Anyway, you know the story. You know the story. Did he make the right decision?
You know, I don't know if he really made any type of decision. I think that especially the women, the Democratic women in the United States Senate kind of made the decision for him.
They did.
It was going to be very hard for him to continue in the United States Senate. And I applaud those women for putting that pressure on him, because if we as a party are going to say that this is unacceptable behavior, we have to make sure that it's not present in our party either. You know, I don't think that it was probably appropriate. I don't think that Senator Franken, as Kirk said, was the right messenger to talk about the president's misconduct and the conduct of Roy Moore in the Alabama Senate race. But I think those are relevant points, that you see a beloved Democratic U.S. senator who is being forced out because we're saying we're not going to accept this. But the president, none of his party is asking for him to step down, and the Republican National Committee and the president have both endorsed Roy Moore, who has multiple allegations against him.
Did he take one? Is this a case of taking one for the team? If they're, like Emily said, if the Dems are going to stand on moral high ground about this sexual misconduct, we saw Conyers resign.
Well, let me just say this. I have rarely defended Donald Trump for anything on any of his outlandish comments and behavior.
That is on record on this show, yeah.
And I do not defend him on the issue with the boast he made on tape that was played during the campaign. I'm pleased that the Democrats are taking the high moral ground that they didn't take with President Clinton.
Right.
You know, they all took one for the team on that one. But setting all this, I would agree with all of your comments about Senator Franken, except for beloved. He's not beloved to me. Okay.
I should say beloved within the party.
But
he was a very
let me just say this.
senator.
He was.
When you run for public office, I don't care if it's school board or city council, or mayor or congressman or state state representative or president, you forfeit your right to have a private life that is totally to yourself.
Right.
And really, the public deserves to know what's going on in your life and to hold you accountable. And if you won't hold yourself accountable, other people ought to hold you accountable. And there's no defense for Roy Moore's actions, as well as I can understand it. I don't believe that you have multiple women are going to come forward and say, he did this. Women don't want to come forward and say that, usually. I mean, Paula Jones
Why
did.
would they?
Paula Jones didn't. I mean, just to be fair. Why would they? Now, some would, but not multiple. And you know, and we can tick them off. I mean, Bill Cosby, Roy Moore, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton,
Matt
Lauer. And so what's happened is, in our country, for a long time, people said, hey, do what you want. It's your private life. And I can't talk to you about his or her private life. His or her private life matters because it's a matter of integrity.
I absolutely agree.
What happens now with that Senate seat, though? Is it appointed by the governor? Was he in the middle of a...
Depends on that state.
Correct. So the Minnesota governor will appoint a successor to Senator Franken.
Is the Minnesota governor a Democrat or Republican?
Yes, he's a Democrat.
Okay, so chances are the balance of power won't change because of that.
I thought it was really large of Senator Franken to announce he's going to step aside in a few weeks after he hits the end of the year and gets another year for his retirement.
Well, you got to.
That's what's going on.
You got to think these things through.
Yeah, you got to think these things through.
I mean, that is certainly relevant to the conversation, the timing portion of it, but I just can't get past the contrast here between the parties. That the Democrats are saying, look, we really like Senator Franken, we really like Representative Conyers, but even though we like them, they have to go
but
because
let me get
of
this
these
straight.
things.
So you're asserting that there is a right and a wrong.
Correct.
Okay. And that people's personal behavior matters in their public standing.
Yes.
And yet you defend Barney Frank.
Did I defend Barney Frank? I don't think I've ever.
Your party does.
Well, I mean...
What did Barney Frank do?
Barney Frank is homosexuality right or wrong? It's not relative. There's a right and a wrong. You just said it. So it's either right or wrong. And if it's okay, then it's okay for everybody. And quite frankly, it's okay for men to sleep with little boys, if it's okay.
But I'm
right and a
unclear
wrong.
on what Barney Frank did other than being a homosexual. Are you saying that there was some inappropriate conduct on his part? Because I'm not aware of that.
I'm saying there is a standard of right and wrong. And in our society, we've gotten to where, I'm going to make a lot of people mad today, we've gotten to where...
You're used to that.
Hey, there's no right or wrong. It's just all relative. It's not all relative.
Some people look at things black and white. Some people look at things in shades of gray.
But but Kirk, to compare Barney Frank being a homosexual to Al Franken or John Conyers or the president or Roy Moore making unwanted...
Depends. Hey.
Depends on what?
Ralph Shorty in my party is an embarrassment.
Yes.
That was consensual. But it was with a kid.
Right. It was with a child, which children cannot consent under the law.
Okay, so if Ralph Shorty had that liaison with someone over 18 and it was consensual, then it's okay even though he's married?
Well, it's not okay, but it's not illegal. The Shorty situation,
that's adultery,
I think.
if he is married.
But there was also there were child pornography charges, and that is a completely different realm. That's not about homosexuality.
All I'm saying is there's a right and a wrong, and
I don't think that
pleased
homosexuality is wrong.
Well, I do. But I'm pleased that the Democrats are coming around to say there's a right and wrong, not everything's relative.
Right, and when we say there's a right and a wrong, what's wrong is taking advantage of someone and preying on someone and touching them inappropriately.
Totally agree.
I mean,
agree.
That is completely different from your moral stance on homosexuality.
Totally. I totally agree that when you take advantage of another person, regardless of their age, it's wrong.
Because you are a powerful person. But that's
we're really talking about two. I'm saying there's a right and a wrong, and that there's a standard for right and wrong.
Right.
Some people see right and wrong differently.
I grant you that.
There are criminal statutes, though, when it comes to what what senators did. Touching someone against their will is illegal.
Yeah.
And we prosecute people for that.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Well, what
we didn't prosecute Bill Clinton, who did that a lot.
Oh,
to be
but
fair,
didn't we? He was impeached.
You didn't prosecute him. You defended him.
Kirk,
show me a Democrat that voted to impeach Bill
Kirk,
Clinton.
I was like 7 years old, so no, I didn't
Don't do that to us.
support him or defend him.
It matters.
But it was inappropriate. I don't think that what he did was not consensual, but the balance of power.
Come on.
But the balance of power is the issue there.
You don't think the women didn't come forward and say that he accosted them sexually in a non-consensual manner?
Well,
yes, sure they did.
What he was impeached for, the Lewinsky scandal, I don't think that there were allegations.
No, I'm talking about his pattern of behavior.
Right,
which
and I
the
think that it was
Democrats
inappropriate.
totally defended. I'm not defending it, and I'm not defending Ralph Shorty, Al Franken, Roy Moore, Donald Trump. I'm not defending any of them. It's wrong, and they're an embarrassment to public office and ought to get out.
And I think that if President Clinton's situation were taking place today, it would be treated very differently.
I hope so.
Well, we'll see. That was a philosophical debate there that's going to probably, I'll get some email on that one. That's okay.
Friends, you can write me at kevinogle.com.
Yeah, right. But when we come back, was it right or wrong for the president to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel? We'll be right back.